I'll try again. Mate, talk us through the first quarter from your perspective, and how much of that performance can you attribute to the long break between games?
Well, it's definitely had to have contributed. We looked like we were stuck in mud. We rotated pretty quickly, and the guys who came in looked like they were stuck in mud too. So there wasn't really any sort of re-up coming off the bench, which is unusual, to have that many guys who look like they're a little sluggish. So, there's a reason for it. We haven't had the ability to get up and down with any consistency over that 28 days. But, you've got to have a look at where Brisbane was at too. They were really good, very efficient. They cut us to ribbons with their execution. They worked hard on the boards. I think to talk about us and where we were at and the things we were going through probably takes a little bit too much away from the performance they put on, backing up after their game the other night.
You must have been, I don't know if proud's the word, but your team kept fighting it out, didn't you? Like that could have been a blowout, but the final score, you hung in there, and in the second half you kept fighting a good fight.
Well, yeah, we had to utilise the time wisely. We haven't been able to get up and down the floor with our group. And so to sort of kiss the game away at half time and say, okay, let's just get through uninjured and whatnot, it's not the way to go. We had to use that time wisely to try and get ourselves a little bit of synchronicity amongst the guys, to get a little bit of air in the lungs and blow out a few cobwebs in the legs. So it was really, we had to utilise the time, and we were fortunate to execute a little bit. The heat had gone out of the game a little bit too. So again, I don't want to take too much or take anything away from Brisbane and say, okay, we were back. We showed them in the second half. That's not the case at all. They were really strong, and yeah, we had to utilise that time wisely. It's important that we spend every moment together whilst we're healthy to try and get better.
What's the focus? I think your next game's the Jack Jumpers next weekend. Well, what's the focus between now and then?
Staying COVID-free is the number one priority. So making sure that our protocols are precise. Using this week to get up and down the floor. I think it's really important that these guys, as we've brought guys back through into the group, we haven't really been able to get up and down just because we had to sort of wait till the guy got his lungs back. So this week, with everyone back on deck, or almost everybody, we'll use that time to try and get our legs under us.
And last one for me for Ryan. Ryan, they were saying in the call that you only sort of got out of the COVID protocols yesterday or the day before. Did you feel like the longer the game went, the better you felt because you were getting some air in the lungs and some miles in the legs?
Yeah, absolutely. I was lucky. I had pretty mild symptoms, but yeah, a week at home and not being able to sort of do too much, and a few days just, pretty fatigued. It took a little while to get going, and once it kind of hit the second half, I don't think it was just me. Everyone seemed to find their wind and find the energy that we needed from the start. It's part of life at the moment. Every team's kind of going through it, but it's encouraging to see that even though we started so poorly, that we could take something from the second half and build and find something for us in a positive way after a pretty dismal performance.
I'll jump in here. Ryan, Simon, this is Joseph from the NBL Pocket Podcast. Nice to see you both. My question is for Simon. I'm a bit frustrated because we're here and we can have an intellectual conversation about matchups and whatever. COVID's just cast its ugly spell over this game. My question to you is, the man to your right, Simon, normally a starter, sat on the bench. Are the lines of communication open to talk about how these players are and whether they're ready or not? Because, it was a surprise to most in the commentary that Ryan didn't start. So, yeah, that's my question. So, as a fan, I'm sitting here a little bit frustrated and ill-informed. So, is there the lines of communication to communicate that to the broadcast and elsewhere?
Sorry, who am I communicating it to, Joseph? The broadcast?
Yeah, broadcast and I guess the fans in general and people talking about the league.
Well, in lead up to the game?
Yeah, for like game time decisions like that, I suppose.
It wasn't a game time decision, Joseph. Look, our starting lineup is given early in the day to our media manager. It goes up on, from what I understand, it goes up on social media, so people who are engaged in that would know that who our starting five is going to be. I don't know when that goes up, to be honest. But yeah, when you've got guys coming off, lengthy breaks and not being able to work out with the team, then you don't really want to put them out there in the first couple of minutes where the energy is really very high. A lot of nervous energy gets burnt and you fatigue a lot quicker. So it was really just about looking after our athlete.
And I don't think we should take away anything from Ruben either. You should see him at training every day. He's doing wonderful things, and from a matchup perspective, it made sense with him. And who am I trying to think of right now? Patterson, being able to kind of put a big body on Patterson, like it's not just our team is so deep that this starting lineups can change, by performance through the week, by guys coming in and out. It's a credit to Ruben and how well he's performed over not just this last week, but over the whole season, especially behind closed doors when we're going at each other. He's really performing, so he deserved the start, and our lineup's probably going to be flexible with who's available, who's healthy, and who's playing well.
Lastly, from me, did we get a Brisbane Southeast Melbourne matchup? This just felt totally deflated by COVID. I know you guys aren't going to make excuses, but that's just how it looked. Did we get a fair representation?
Well, until we get to present ourselves in another way, then that is the only way it is. I think you'll find, we were talking about it just before, myself and Creaky, and when you go into pre-season, and this is what it's really been like a little bit. It's been like a disrupted pre-season, I guess, this last 28 days. In that when you play a game you play your first pre-season game, and you play the other team, and they've already played a pre-season game, they usually come out and jump you. For whatever reason. It's just that they're fresher, they've been at the tempo, they've been able to assess what's required, whereas you do everything you can to try and replicate that. But at times you just don't have the ability to replicate it because of numbers or health or whatever the reasons are. I had that feeling about it a little bit early, that it was like, okay, these guys are sharp. They had the run the other week, and you could even see it in, I guess, a little bit in us that the second half we were moving a little bit better. And I would like to think that in our next game we'll be moving a lot better. But I understand that it's frustrating for fans, frustrating for us as well. It is frustrating, but this is what we've got to deal with. Everybody's going to have to deal with it, and whoever deals with it best is probably going to end up putting rings on their fingers at the end of the season, because it's really important that regardless of the situations that you find yourself in, that you find a way to battle through.
Thanks for the candor, gents. Appreciate it.
Coach, can you perhaps draw a little bit of inspiration or motivation from the Bullets, given that last week they were very much in the same position you were, and they suffered a loss to the Breakers, which they perhaps would think they should have won, but then they've come out this week and performed like this. Is that something that you could perhaps draw upon for your next match now that you have further away?
I don't think we'll be talking about it too much during the week, as let's be like the Bullets. But I think it's truthful that if you've got a little bit of a run in your legs, that you're going to have you're going to be in a good position. Now, I think we're going to see a few of these games throughout the course of the year where you're looking at a team. And now I was watching the Brisbane New Zealand game, and I was thinking the same thing. I was like, man, some of those guys look a little heavy in the legs, and a little bit off, just a half split second off in their execution, and you see it. And you put it down to, I guess they've probably not had their numbers at practice and not had their team together, and that's going to happen. Our job is to prepare ourselves as best we can with what we've got and where we're at.
Thanks, Coach. That's it for me.
Any last questions? All right, thank you.
Cheers, guys.
Thanks, guys.